to this coffee. What if I give Mum a biscuit? She'll
not eat her dinner.
Not eat her dinner. That's not far off. So.
My grandmother. Not looking her best right now, but after 97 years and a pretty sudden onset of mental illness last year, I challenge anyone to do better. They call it Lewy body's dementia, with a side helping of Alzheimer's, and it has turned the surprisingly vibrant and capable grandmother I knew into a completely different person, her once exceptional brain lost to confusion, hallucinations and jumbled memories. So how do I talk to you about someone I've never really spoken to, and who can no longer speak for themselves? All I can tell you are my experiences and memories. And they begin when I was little, in a seaside town called Lancing, where my gran lived and which we would visit regularly, driving 80-odd miles from our home in the New Forest to spend time as a family. Although I've known my gran all my life, I've never really known her. But who could know better than her own daughter, my mum?
I guess really all I'm left with is photographs of my mother and a few of her small possessions, so I'll just take you through some of her early days. And that was Mum with her brother Leonard when she was about 4 years old, and sadly all her family died very young. Leonard died when he was 15 of an illness that was unknown at that time. There's a lovely photograph of her there when she joined the Guides when she was about 15, I think, and photographs of her with relatives, with her aunt, her special aunts there. Yeah, my mother's mother died when my mother was about 14, and she had to come out of school and be at home to help her father run the house. And I think her father died when she was about 16, and she went to live with her Aunt Nellie, and she always had a very close relationship with Aunt Nellie. And that's a lovely photograph of Mum. And she was quite young, about 16. And she was always very active, Mum. She liked to be in different societies, and there's a photograph here of her, and it's actually a religious play society. She's up in this one as well. And she was always eager to join things and be doing things. And the war years came along, of course, and she didn't actually take part in any war activities. She was exempt from them because she had to be at home with her father at that time. And what she decided to do was take up a sort of nursing career. That's when her nursing career came in, and she I wrote quite a bit down because she did such a lot. She joined the St John Ambulance in 1939 and took another course there in home nursing, and then she enrolled as a member of the Child Care Reserve in 1942, which was a special wartime course of instructions in caring for children under 5. She always said she was called Jessie because her sister that died when she was 4, her name was Elsie, and she had a little doll called Jessie, and Mum always said that she was called after Jessie to sort of have this remembrance of little Elsie. So it wasn't a name she particularly liked. I mean, it all happened because of the war years. You know, soldiers were away fighting, and the girls left back home started writing to the soldiers just as pen friends. Mum started writing to this particular man. He was a flight sergeant, and they got closer, I suppose, you know, through the writings, and they must have eventually have met up and fallen in love, I suppose. At that sort of time in the 50s, it wasn't an acceptable thing for a woman to have a child out of wedlock. I guess, you know, on the whole, I had a reasonably happy childhood. It was very difficult for Mum, you know. It was just such an unacceptable thing at that time. How do I feel about Gran now? I feel very sad, very, very sad. I suppose really I feel closer to Mum now because of her illness than I've ever felt before, because it was always quite a strange relationship that we had, because Mum was quite paranoid about my safety, and she was very sort of over-caring, if you like. I always said that she loved too much. She loved so much that she didn't allow me to do anything, and she wouldn't allow me to go anywhere because she was so frightened I would get hurt and not come back. I think she must have had a really hard life, you know. It must have been very hard for her to cope with that situation, but she didn't really get any support from my father, so she more or less had to go it alone. I've always been very grateful to Mum, you know, that she decided to look after me, but she had to make up a story about me and pretend that she'd adopted me, which was very difficult for me because I thought I was just adopted and didn't have a father, and when I was quite a bit older, just into my teens, I think, she finally told me that this particular man that I used to call Uncle, that we used to visit in London, was actually my father, and because of that it's caused a lot of confusion for me. So I sort of went through an identity crisis and had all sorts of problems through my teens. She really did her very best for me, and you know, that was a wonderful thing, really, that I can look back on that and really appreciate what she had to go through. I'm the one having to feed Mum and guide her and do things for her, whereas, you know, she always did it for me. I suppose all that tension's gone, so I'm able to give her more love now. A bit late in the day, but never mind. It's all right, isn't it, Mum?
Yeah.
Oh, you've opened your eyes, Mum. You've opened your eyes. My mum. Ah, well.